We're gonna call. Lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Ron Vaughn.
Present.
Brad Newbecker. Denny David.
Here.
Craig Scott.
Here.
Mark Serbrook.
Present.
Any additions or corrections to the agenda? I thought we were gonna put something on there, Tim, about the county-owned properties. Are we holding off on that? Are we doing anything with that?
I didn't know you wanted on committee of the whole. I know I sent you the spreadsheet.
What is it?
Yes,
What's that?
county-owned
All the
properties.
county-owned property. Remember
Yeah.
that stack that Denise brought in with all the deeds and stuff?
Last year? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's put that on there. We'll just briefly touch on it. Put that as J. Any other additions or corrections? Item 2, public comment. This is for agenda items only. 3 minutes, please. Is there any public comment in the room? Any public comment on the phone? Item 3, appointments. A, Randy Booth, Equalization Director. Land Divisions Ordinance. Randy Flynn?
See Randy here. We even put this on top, so he could be.
Okay, so
He was here today.
Mr. Bowers, you want to come on up? You're next.
Sure.
Emergency Management Coordinator, Glitter Township Tornado Siren.
No, like we talked about in the hallway.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You're in the hot spot, sir.
I'm always in the hot spot. I don't have to be here for that.
Hit it.
So, as far as the Goodart Township siren, last year we put $4,500 worth of grant money into that siren in order to automate it with the 911, just to find out that the siren itself did not operate. We've done a lot of investigating and we've looked at pretty much everything, including seeing if Ogemaw County can team up with Iosco County with grant money in order to put just a complete brand new system in there. And that didn't look like it would be a profitable option. So we went down and I contacted the distributors at West Shore, and they said that they could install a used rebuilt siren for approximately $6,000 to $7,000. We have $9,500 left in the grant money. So we do have enough grant money for the 100% reimbursed grant in order to make that operational. The township isn't excited about that, but it does create a siren for them. And as I've explained to them, that we really need to try to move forward towards more modern technology and the public alerting program in order to get their township using the public alerting program, because it will cover a lot more than just that 1 mile that the siren will cover, and it'll give them actual directions of what and how to respond and communication during an extended disaster event. So, but in the meantime, while we're building that public alerting program, I would like to go ahead and get a siren in up there as soon as possible in order to do that,
You said they're not excited about it. Why?
because they wanted the $25,000 siren.
Sure.
And the only difference is,
Ron was at all of these.
Mile.
with me.
right now, the old siren will reach out a mile radius. The new siren will reach out 1.5 miles.
Correct.
Well,
So you're gonna gain a mile overall.
$16,000 more, you
Yeah.
get half a mile.
Yeah.
Right.
Let
So-
them pull you. Yeah, right.
What do you need from us? Are you just informing?
Permission to spend money.
Permission
It's
to spend
there.
the grant money.
Perfect.
I don't see an issue
Yeah,
with it.
exactly.
Right.
But it always has to come through the
Yep.
board before I do the grant.
We just need a resolution for that, correct?
Yeah,
Or
so send me the details.
I will.
Who are we dealing with and all?
I will. I'll send you all the details now that they've said to go ahead and go.
Board meeting is Tuesday next week, so sooner you get it to me, the better, so I can throw the resolution up.
I will. I'll get that to you tomorrow.
Tomorrow's good.
Perfect. Okay,
I actually have, by tomorrow morning, I expect to have an actual quote, the first quote from it, so.
is this something they're gonna be able to do fairly quickly or?
I think we can get this by midsummer, maybe.
Perfect.
I think we can get it moved. They already have the item in stock, so it's just going through the grant process. That takes usually about 6 to 8 weeks. I can probably have them ready to install it directly after.
Okay.
So, subject number 2, we now have a CERT program. We have 6 members. We just had our first meeting last Monday. We have 6 members, and CERT is Community Emergency Response Team. They are community members who activate during a disaster situation to do various skills, anywhere from search and rescue to traffic control to working in distribution centers or shelters. They are trained to turn off gas mains in residential areas, first aid, CPR. The extent they have 54 physical skills that they train and certify in by the time they are finished with everything, and they're volunteers.
Just Ogemaw County or Ogemaw and Iosco?
Well, I have a group of 10 now in Oscoda County. I have a group of 6 in Ogemaw County, and I'm hoping to have another group around 10. Our first meeting in Aranet County will be June 2nd.
Good.
And all of these groups are also under the understanding of each county can and will help out with the other counties when available and necessary. So it's individual and regional.
Good.
So there's a grant involved with this too?
Yes, there are grants involved with this. So I already have a grant from the SCS Commission, $2,000 that they gave us last year as I was developing this.
Is this for training for them?
Yes, training and supplies, equipment, stuff like that. And I actually have a bunch of equipment I've been acquiring from around the region from programs that have went to the wayside. They don't have a CERT program, so they're reusable equipment I've been collecting and putting in storage. I've distributed most of it. Currently, I have 40 backpacks that are equipped with basic CERT equipment ready to distribute. And I also have the $2,000 that is in Treasury that we've already received the check. And I'm getting ready to spend approximately $1,000 of that grant money on T-shirts and hats to uniform these people. I already have the vests in order to uniform these people, so they have the safety vests. I've gotten that through a previous grant in the process of getting there. I also got the advisory board, the regional advisory board, to set aside $24,000 for CERT equipment and projects starting in 12 months from now. It'll be the 2022 grant. So that money, that $24,000 will be available about 12 months from now. And also, we have $18,770 left in the previous regional grant. And we want to buy batteries, flashlights, headlamps, light sticks for the different CERT programs. And they have asked me to ask Ogemaw County to be the fiduciary for that $18,770. It would take 90 to 120 days to receive your money back. It's 100% reimbursed grant. And the supplies will be for here, but they'll also be for other CERT programs in the region. So.
That shouldn't be any problem, should it, Tim? Be a fiduciary?
Nope, we did that last year
We did.
for the,
For the RAVE
Thing.
Public Alerting Program,
Right.
which that one was much more complicated.
You need another resolution for this as well.
Yes, I'll need a resolution for it also, and I'll get you the details on that also, sir.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Real quick, if you will, you've been asking about the AVL thing for quite a while.
Brad and I have, yes.
Okay, so I have a solution for the ABL with the new CAD program that Dispatch is putting in for $50 a vehicle, costs $50 a vehicle for the system. You already know what I'm saying, don't you?
Right, yeah, for the GPS.
Yes, for
The
the GPS portion of it,
transponder.
and then $2 a month per vehicle.
It's cheap. It's dirt cheap.
Yeah, and
Vehicles
you can
with
put
GPS.
any county vehicle on it that you so desire. And it'll plug into the vehicle and it'll automatically communicate with the new CAD system.
Is there a setup fee for 911 for them to activate that module? Or
Nope,
is it
it's already,
somebody just got
it's
to,
already in
turn
their
it on.
program. It's already in their program. It's $50 a car and then $2 a month.
Do you guys have a meet? Are you guys on a, would that be something you take to the law enforcement committee first?
we could.
It won't be ready until fall. So the programming of the CAD system, last time I talked with Jesse, they're looking at September or October, being able to go live with the new CAD program they've been working on for the last year.
So if you've got those details, if you get those to me and I can do the math on the number of vehicles we have and
Okay,
put that together, make sure it's in the budget.
I'll have to get with my
Don't have to. It's
dispatch director in Aranac County. Yvonne King is the one that's been heading that up for me. So I'll get those fine details for you and make sure you get those numbers also. Let's see, I have FirstNet phones out. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the first responder phones from AT&T. They have a special line that during disaster, first responders have a chip in their phone. So their phones won't go down when everybody else does because of the overload of the system. So I have 6 of those phones out in the region right now. I'm carrying one, and then I gave one to Brian for his patrol officers to take around the county in order to check connectivity with the programs. As we all know, historically, AT&T does not do well in Ogemaw County. But the salesman showed me his map and said, well, we put all these up. So I agreed to do a connectivity trial with him. I'm going to be collecting all of those phones up next week, and we will be sitting down and talking to them. And if people using the phones say they think the phones get out in areas that are difficult, then I'm sure I'll be tying Tim's office into the group conversation and seeing where we go with that. But I'm hoping that is going to help with the public alerting program. If we find that AT&T's connectivity is in like the South Branch area or the Clear Lake area or the northwest corner of Sage Lake, though all of those areas, I believe one of those areas is actually your area where we have problems with cell phones. And I'm hoping that the connectivity with that will be an improvement there, and we can increase our capabilities with public alerting that way. So, and the American Red Cross has requested to have 10 minutes of your next committee. She would like to talk about disaster preparedness, connecting government to the public, to the commercial industries, and that connectivity from one to the other projects that her and I have been working on, trying to make sure that the next disaster we're better prepared. So
Would be an issue. That'd be great. Who is she when you say she?
Megan Powers. Megan Powers, she's actually over in Traverse City, and she will do the video connection for it. She'll video in for that. And she said about 10 to 15 minutes of your time she'll be taking. So
Perfect. Thank you.
And
Thanks for the
of
update.
course, I'll be present for that also. That's all I have. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Sorry. Thank you very much. The update's appreciated. Mr. Booth.
Apologize for being late. I was not looking at the clock. It was 5:10 when I looked at it a minute ago.
Sleeping on the job.
Yeah, just
That's okay.
balancing.
We'll
Here you
get
go.
Chris to look at those clocks.
So you got land division ordinance is item 1.
Yes. We had spoke about handling land divisions for the local units, and I reached out to Tim Perone, and we looked at a land division ordinance that's loosely based off of MTA, and I think I used one of the townships in Bay County where the county handles their stuff and kind of use that as a template for it, where, because there are some counties that do some of the land divisions for the local units. And so it's kind of two-tier thing. One thing is we have to have an ordinance in place to be able to do land divisions and have something to be able to tell people this is the rules that you have to abide by. And so when we deny, when you have an appeal process, which this would include going to the zoning board of appeals for an appeal process. And then the second part of it is Tim has also drafted an agreement to use with the local units so that by agreement, we can do the land divisions for them.
Is there a hearing requirement for the ordinance?
I don't believe so. I mean, I know we didn't do one at our township, but county might be a little different. Tim
It
did
would be
reference it.
usual. I only ask that because there's usually a posting requirement. It has to be in the paper 10 days in advance or something along those lines.
You know, I'm not sure in counties. On townships, we have to post it 30 days before it can become effective. And there might be different requirements for the county.
I see the last section says the effective date would be after it's been published in newspaper general circulation in the county, but I didn't see anything.
So I guess I'm confused.
Think an ordinance would have to have.
would
I
think
thought
so.
we were not, I thought the purpose you originally came to us was to stop us from doing these. And now,
Well, I wanted the board's guidance. And from that meeting, I think, you know, and a lot of the townships are not doing it. So if the board doesn't mind us doing it, then we have to have the proper tools in place to do it. Which should be an ordinance that, because right now, we've been doing it since 1997, but we don't have an ordinance in place. So if I deny somebody or do something, they don't have an appeal process. There's no real effect in what we're doing.
right, because you had one that did deny, or you denied it.
I've only
and They
denied
didn't know what to do
two
from
since
there,
I've
right?
been here, exactly.
was
They went to
Edwards?
the township and Edwards Township does their own zoning. And part of the ordinance says that they have to comply with local zoning. Well, in our county, it's kind of unique because we do the zoning for 12 of the units. I think 13, maybe 14. And so they don't have their own zoning. There's only a couple that actually do their own zoning. And so in that case, they will have to review it as well to match local zoning. And that's where the crux came into the Edwards Township, is they said, well, by zoning, we'd allow that. I shouldn't be denying it.
So are we gonna continue, do we do the land division for those 3 that does their own zoning?
At this point, that's what we've been doing. We've been doing the land divisions and then we give them, they sign off on it. Instead of Ryan looking at it for county zoning, they look at it for their local zoning.
So is that what, according to this, that's what you would like to continue? This is just basically like a
Formalize it.
policy procedure in place.
What I like, I think we need a formal policy in place and an ordinance or rule to do it. I mean, it's what we've been doing in practice since 1997. We just don't have,
So there's no big
Anything in
changes
writing.
here of what we've been doing.
no, we've been following those guidelines since 97. We
Okay.
just never actually adopted them. And, but like I say, since 97, no one's really had an appeal process. There's only been a few denied. Most people accepted. One is denied, okay, and they went ahead and changed the plan or did something different. This was the first time we had one that was really a name and he wanted in writing, know why I was denying it, and to show him in statute or the ordinance. And we didn't have an ordinance.
And our legal team looked at this already, correct?
They produced it.
That's what I thought. That's something, Commissioner Serbrook,
Nope,
Commissioner Scott? You guys have an opinion on this?
if it meets your needs. Which it sounds like it does.
Yeah, I think this will meet our needs. And then with the local agreements, if the local units want to take on their own, they don't, I guess
They
right
can-
now Horton Township is, they've already decided they're doing their own. So we're gonna have no play in theirs at all. When they call for land division, we just tell them contact their local assessor. And
So each unit will have they'll have to sign an agreement with us for us to do them for them. So then we have the proper authority to actually do it.
It'd be
So this,
documented.
this ordinance goes hand in hand with the intergovernmental agreement.
Exactly.
Now, when you came to us last time, there was something about you couldn't, and I probably am wrong here, but you couldn't do it for areas under 2,500 or,
The statute reads that areas with population less than 2,500 can contract with the county or have the county do it for them. It doesn't expressly say that they cannot. And Tim Perone said, well, if you've been doing it all along, it's probably not an issue that you continue to do it for those that have over 2,500 in population.
Okay.
But it's certainly something for them to consider.
so they're gonna have to opt, you're not gonna make it so they have to opt out, you're gonna make it so they have to opt in.
Correct. If they don't want us to handle it, then that's fine. They can do they can do their own local ordinance and their own administration of it.
Is this something they're gonna have to sign annually? Is this,
I would think the interlocal agreement would be in place until somebody wants to change it. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think it'd have to be an annual
Okay.
contract.
did you have anything, Commissioner?
Sounds good.
Tim, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, you want to proceed to the next step with it. It won't be on Tuesday because I want to make sure if there is a hearing requirement that we meet that. But whatever that tells us we do, that's the agenda. It'll go on.
Is there any disadvantage to this? Because I know nothing about this.
No, I don't. Do you see anything?
Small disadvantage to it. For the municipalities we do zoning for, we'll use Horton Township as an example. They could possibly create a parcel that's not a buildable parcel, or not a parcel that we would say is up to zoning. So
And that's their issue.
And to answer your question originally, yeah, I'd like to do away with land division. It's not.
That's what I thought you were bringing to us. So when I was reading this last night, I'm like, what?
Because our county does the zoning for all these municipalities as well, it kind of goes hand in hand because one of the requirements is meet local zoning. So Horton, like Ryan said, Horton Township, there's going to be no review. They'll do their land division as they see fit, and they may create parcels that people can't build on or whatever. And so it may create an issue for people down the road because they're not being reviewed by zoning.
And if they deny it locally or approve it locally and someone doesn't like it, they have no other place to take it.
Well, in a township, they would go to the township official or one. I mean, if it doesn't meet zoning, yeah, I don't,
But I mean, outside of the township, they have no place else to go.
no.
Okay. Are you guys good with this?
Yes.
And you're gonna look into that? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think, whoop, you're not done.
Nope.
Intergovernmental agreement.
The interlocal agreement is just the municipalities that want us to do the land divisions, that they're gonna sign an agreement with us. Yes, we will be doing that for them.
The opt-in.
Yes.
So are we gonna see that? See it on-
Attached.
Right
It's
here.
on, it's the next one.
Oh, well,
Three A.
So we kind of talked about that because they do work hand in hand. One.
okay. So I guess you already explained that.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Anything to add to that? So that's part of all of this,
That's
correct?
part of it.
Okay.
Well, on the planning side, we've been talking about involvement with townships too, formally, some formal agreement. Because right now, they're doing these hearings in their townships, which they have no authority to make a decision on. But the posse goes there and it builds a big posse of people, and they all get to scream and yell, and then the township that doesn't have authority, because they don't want authority, makes a decision that they yay or nay this project, but yet they don't have any authority to do so. They have no weight. That decision has no weight because the county does the planning, zoning. So we've been talking about having some kind of formal agreement with townships that want the county to do the zoning or not. Or in some cases, like Otsego County, they did the same thing, and some townships up there said, we don't want anything to do with it. We don't want anybody coming to our meetings. If they got something with planning, they go right to the planning. We don't want to have open meetings here, and we don't want town hall meetings and the posse showing up.
So that would basically the same thing that we're doing here with the land division ordinance, doing with the zoning ordinance, getting,
Yeah,
I think we're a little bit different. I think
We're a
we're more or
little
less talking,
different.
some of our permits, like special use permit, map amendments. The ordinance recommends that they go to the township and get a recommendation from them
Right.
prior to the planning commission. Some of those townships want to be involved in that process, understanding that their decision isn't necessarily going to be upheld by the planning commission. There's others that I think are going to say, well, if we're going to get sitting here and screamed at about stuff, and we don't have a say in it, then don't even bother sending them to us. And I think that's what we want to find out. is
we want to
Who
find that
wants to
out.
be involved in that process and who doesn't? Because it does slow down the process a little bit. For instance, someone came to me today with a special use permit, I'd have to get them in front of their township board, have that recommendation, and then I can plan them a plan, or I can put them on the docket for the planning commission. So with the 15-day notice for those types of hearings that I have to have in the paper, someone came to me today, I might not be able to get them in touch with them just because of the time. So,
And the last few that have happened at these townships, they're not even on their township agenda. These people just throw up, start screaming. The township didn't put it on their agenda, so the people that were on the opposite side of the question don't know anything about this. They have no opportunity to come and say their opinion because the posse just showed up and started screaming about what they don't like. And that was the question to Churchill Township about the Dollar General. Did you schedule a open meeting? Did you schedule a town hall meeting for this? No, we didn't. But they're upset about it. Well, yeah, but the people for it, you didn't give them an opportunity to come and talk about it. You didn't tell them that you were gonna have this open forum meeting about it.
they didn't have necessarily, I was there, they didn't necessarily have an open forum meeting that had public comment and that was
That's right.
3
It's
minutes.
just public
the same
comment.
night
It
that
wasn't on the agenda.
Well, it kind of, yes, it was. I mean, it wasn't on the agenda for public comment. Or there was, let me rephrase that, there was time for public comment. It was on the agenda for the board members to discuss.
Well, then they should have let
And they
everybody
did
know
also-
that.
They did also have the actual Dollar General representative there too, and they were also on the agenda. So that is not true, but
Well, that's not what they told me when I asked them the question, so.
I was there present at the meeting.
they're not required to post anything for them. They don't have to put a notice in the paper. They can throw it on their agenda the night before. I think it's more of a transparency thing.
Mhm.
Those particular cases, the campground we had up in Bruce Township, that information got out, everybody knew about it. Some of the less.
Well, there, the
Some
man
of the
came to
lesser
us
issues
and we
that aren't
told him to
gonna
go to the township, so
Right.
they loaded up their guns and headed, they're following the guy.
And there's just that potential for it to slide under the radar at the township level. And we do our notice to the planning commission level. Otherwise, nobody knew about it. So they're not technically, because they're not making this a decision, so to speak, they don't have to post it.
Are you on the agenda to discuss that aspect? Oh, okay. Thanks, Randy.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ray.
Ryan, you are in the hot seat. Come on up.
So I did, we talked about blight ordinance templates. I've had a few of the townships reach out to me. Either they're not happy or they don't have an active blight ordinance right now. So I did yesterday send out MTA sample blight ordinance to all townships within our zoning jurisdiction. And then also sent them a municipal civil infraction sample ordinance as well. This particular ordinance right here, MTA notes on the back, this is more set up for a misdemeanor. However, if you'd like to make it a civil infraction, they say, look at this. So that was included for both of them. This is kind of basic. I am going to find a couple of local examples. I know West Branch Township, Edwards, and I believe the city have blight ordinance is in effect as well too. So I might send those copies out as well tomorrow for the townships, just to give them another thing to look at.
Say, weren't we gonna see if MTA could come up with, or not MTA, geez, I'm sorry, our legal team could come up with a template?
So I spoke with Tim Perone
Okay.
and he said it's not a county issue, that's a township issue. He is the one that actually referred me to MTA for their sample blight and civil infraction ordinances. So those need to be done on the township level. Now,
So
as
you don't
far
think
as,
it's possible to put together I guess I hate to say a county level, but a township blight ordinance that could be utilized for the majority of townships?
we probably could, it's just gonna be a matter of talking to them. Some are gonna have different opinions. There's some items in here they may or may not want to include in their blight ordinance. I know Hill Township, for example, just speaking with Rob, their blight ordinance covers grass, but doesn't cover anything else. So it's gonna be a conversation that we need to have. I did tell all the townships, I do have some experience with blight, and I'd be more than happy to come talk to their boards or meet with them privately. But it does really, in my opinion, it does need to be something that's done at the township level. Now, we may be able to help them with the ordinances, come up, ideally, I'd like to see everybody using the same ordinance. Then maybe we could help find someone to help enforce those ordinances for them as well too. Whether that's an individual who's through the townships or maybe even possibly at the county level, but those decisions will have to be, some of the hard decisions are gonna have to come from the township.
Is there one that's easier to enforce, the civil or what's the other one?
The civil infraction or misdemeanor, from a cost perspective, the civil infraction ordinance be the better way to go. Generally speaking, this starts off small, with a small fine. If they don't comply, then the fine can increase. And I think they can go up to $500. So they could start at $50, they could jump it to $250 and then go to $500. On the misdemeanor side, they don't comply, township hiring an attorney and taking them to court.
It's criminal.
It is a
The
criminal.
misdemeanor is criminal.
It is a
The other one's civil.
So it's easier to go, I guess you lost me somewhere. It's easier to go the misdemeanor route or the civil route?
The misdemeanor will get you results faster, except this would be a lot more expensive. Just because anytime you have one that doesn't comply, you would have to hire an attorney and go to court. So this side, they may get through the first couple tickets, but eventually if they don't want to comply, it would start to add up very quickly. And in all honesty, most civil infraction or most blight enforcement, in my experience, is all about communication. Unfortunately, we have both sides here. We have the extreme end where we want people to clean up 30 years worth of junk in 30 days. And then we have those that we don't push them hard enough to get stuff done. So I think we can find some examples, and I think I could help some of these townships with their enforcement of it. A lot of times it's just appealing to someone's sense of decency, or just saying, hey, if your kids were living next door to us, what would you think? I've got mice or rats running out of this and that. So in my opinion, I believe the civil infraction is a better way to go. But that would have to be up to the township as well too. So
Could it be on an individual basis or does it have to be?
I think they have to go one or the other. I don't think they can say civil infraction and then bump them to misdemeanor if, let's say, they ticketed them 3 times. It's either one or the other.
Because we talked about a little bit about that, the top 2 concerns at every township meeting is blight and roads, every township meeting. It's exhausting.
Yeah, and for both of those too, it generally boils down to money as well too. So I did a lot of blight enforcement, or some blight enforcement in West Branch Township. I never had to take anybody to court.
The township board just seemed extremely frustrated with the process of the blight and the no attempt or results.
It is a process. I would always recommend the townships, and 9 times out of 10, the townships find a one of their elected officials to be the blight enforcement. And that's, in my opinion, is a horrible idea. You want someone separated from the township that can deal with these people or has the time to deal with these people who don't have a political agenda, or someone could say, you know, "Oh, the supervisor doesn't like me. That's why I'm getting, that's why this is happening." So
Just gotta find somebody that doesn't like anybody.
right. It is one of those things. Rome wasn't built in a day. I don't think we have unrealistic expectations when it comes to blight sometimes, that we have all this junk on a property and we expect someone to clean it up in 30 days. A lot of times it's that way because they don't have the money to do it, or maybe they're not in have the physical capability of doing it. I had one blight for a lawn once, and it was merely simply the older gentleman next door had a very expensive lawnmower and it broke down on him. He could not, he was by himself. He couldn't push it up on his trailer to take it somewhere to get it fixed. So the neighbor complained, and tell the neighbor, go over and help him push it up on his trailer so he'll get it fixed. And then very simple, that was a communication thing. Boils down to the townships, and a lot of times in this case too is communication, working with people. You're going to get those people that are just not going to comply regardless what you say or what you do. But 9 times out of 10, I think most people will understand there's a problem. And if the township is willing to help or do whatever they can to help them, then they might get further with that. I've allowed people to use a township transfer station to get rid of garbage for free. And at the end of the day, they filled up a 6-yard dumpster. Our cost on that dumpster is $26. I can't even pick up the phone and call my attorney for $26. So probably paying someone a couple hours worth of work to handle that is more than $26. So got to be creative. You got to be open. But I think we can get there if, and we'll find out, there's some that have been doing it a long time than others. Mills may be able to have tips for everybody. West Branch Township or the city might have tips for people when it comes to handling their blight as well too.
What do you mean by tips?
Tips on
Procedure.
procedure, ways to keep costs down. It's not always about slapping a fine on someone and hoping they fix it. So, yeah, and especially on the misdemeanor side of it. If it is a misdemeanor, it's going to add up quickly for townships because they can't go in there and represent themselves. They have to hire an attorney. So hopefully we can get everybody on the same page or get close. I think it would work well for some of the townships. Just even if we had 3 or 4 people countywide that did it, maybe one person handled Foster, Rose, and Goodart Township, or even 4 or 5 townships. But I think it can be done relatively inexpensively. But yeah, this, unfortunately, if it's not, it's all going to end up in our lap eventually. So
You're communicating with the supervisors of each township?
most of them I've sent to the clerks. There's a few supervisors that I've sent it to. The clerks are usually better at looking at their emails.
ZBA appointment.
I do have one opening on the ZBA. I did receive an application for appointment from a gentleman up there in Foster Township. I don't know if you've seen the application. He did come recommended from one of our current planning commission members. And he is I think he's lived in the area for 22 years and he's a retired, I think he did 20 years in the Army. So seems to be a pretty decent guy, and the military individuals are used to rules and regulations. So they're very good with those.
That was a 5-year, did I see 5 years on there?
It's a 3-year. We do have, I'm working on another planning commission member at the moment too, and then filling a spot for resignation as well too. So those will be coming to you here probably
next couple weeks this month.
You guys good
Couldn't
with
get them in
this?
for this meeting.
Pardon me?
I couldn't get my new ones in for this meeting. My other ones.
Was this list posted somewhere for this, or was this just an appointment?
No, this was just an individual that knew we needed a person.
Okay.
And reached out, had him reach out to me.
Questions? You guys good?
Yeah,
I read
no,
through
no,
it.
let's do a resolution.
Can you put that, can you email us or that blight ordinance? Can you give me a copy of that?
Yeah. I can send it out to all of you if you want to see it and review it.
Pardon me?
I'll send it out to all of you
That'd be
Okay.
great.
and take a peek at it.
And if you're sending out, otherwise, like if you're gonna get West Branch cities to
Yeah.
townships.
I'll have those
Yeah, if you
too.
can send those out to us too, I think that'd be
Yep.
helpful for all of us to be able to lay eyes on them.
Yeah, this one is extremely basic. They don't need to be.
I was gonna say, basics not bad.
Basic is not bad. They don't need
Pretty
to be.
simple.
Some of them go through and like, especially with noxious weeds, they'll go through and list
Identify by
every type
species.
of Species of
Mhm.
noxious weed.
I've seen those.
That might be a little bit uncalled for, but then again, basic is good. I like it all spelled out in front of me, but to each their own, I guess, so.
As long as you
Thank
keep
you.
it simple and understandable for everybody involved.
The
So it gets
biggest thing
really
is that-
super deep into the weeds with.
The biggest thing is they have it defined in there and
Right.
and something that is legal and legit and done properly. Which for the land division, don't know if that would be considered a zoning. Which would have to have zoning, a certain publication or public hearing requirements that a zoning ordinance would have to have.
It's its own standalone. There's general rules for ordinances, but that might have a specific rule,
Right.
kind of like zoning does,
Right,
with publication requirements and,
yeah.
dates and what have you. So that's what I would just want to make sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brian Gilbert, Sheriff, related to SVSU non-clinical placement agreement. Good evening. Is that a moan in a groan?
That was a moan in the ground. Let's see.
It's not a good sign.
So you should have all received the proposed contract from SVSU. My understanding is Lieutenant Ozier and SVSU had that discussion and felt it would be useful for the students from SVSU to see medical environment in the correction facility. And so they brought it to the sheriff and I were in favor of it. And I believe the attorneys have reviewed said contract.
Right.
So we would recommend that we move forward with this arrangement. I think it'll be beneficial to both the county and SVSU.
My only question with that is insurance liability wise. We have to make sure with our carrier that it's going to be
Yeah,
covered.
I think
I see it was in there, but did we verify that it's not going to be an issue? More cost or anything?
the way it's supposed to work, I don't remember exactly what we wrote in here, but typically the way it works is the university would cover the student. We would have no obligation there whatsoever.
Okay,
That's not to say that if something happened, we wouldn't be named a suit, but fact being in this case, we're saying, it's up to you as a university to make sure your student's covered.
okay. That's my only concern. I think it's great. Does it?
That was easy.
Hey,
Oh.
you open your mouth.
Deputy's coming back, by the way, from his injury reserve, the 23rd.
Oh, good.
Oh, May,
Yes.
getting questions about night patrol, how's it going and all that kind of stuff. Could you guys
They're out
bring
there.
us a report next month? Nothing real fast, but next month and kind of a report on night patrol.
Like stops, arrests.
Activity report of some sort.
We could probably come up with something for you.
Okay,
I'll work on that.
okay.
Something, just
Along
something.
with everything else.
Yeah,
Just one more.
I tried to do the little bit of budget, but it's not ready yet.
Okay, item 4, discussion items. We got
Well, if you
A,
don't want to do that, we'll take care of that.
we got 911 emergency dispatch millage.
So you got a copy of what the 911 authority sent over.
I forwarded this to the county attorney to review the language, and they have, particularly Dave Stoker is pretty much an expert on writing these things to make sure that anything that we need to have in there would be in here. I'll be very curious to see if they come back with anything about tax capture districts and whether or not this would be subject. So, yeah, so, but it's with the attorney right now. It's not ready for you to do anything with it yet. We still have about 3 or 4 meeting cycles yet before you have to make a determination to get it on the November ballot. So we have time, but the attorneys have it. I expect to see something really anytime.
Oh, you're on the 911, correct, Mr. Commissioner Serbrook?
I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, that obviously is $724,069. That's what they've been capturing, correct? That as far as the 0.7494 mils? There's no change in this, correct?
With a number like that, I would say that's probably exactly what they're collecting right now, and it's probably been subject to a Headley rollback. I'll bet it was 0.75.
Yeah,
when it
they were,
started, and then it got rolled back to this number.
So financially, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
they were talking at the last meeting that they were, I think they were sending it to our lawyers through the 911. But they're not sure that it can be captured, that it has to be spent on on the public.
It can be captured, but right now it can't be from the one township that we talked
Right.
about. Because we have an agreement with that township, they won't capture it, so. Begs another question, which we'll be talking about probably in sometime, if not the next cow meeting, the one after. About whether or not 911 has to bill the township for what was captured in error. And I think Jesse's right in that case, because it wasn't supposed to be captured. They can't capture it
Right.
because of the wording on the millage language, but we'll sort that out when the time comes.
That's what they're trying to figure out, I think.
I think Jesse's right, though. I think it's got to come back to him.
Well, my original question is when we sat down, when we were looking at things and going through the millages and some of the monies weren't spent or some of the services hadn't been provided, we decreased some of the millages. How are they financially? I mean, do they need to capture this amount? Is this something that she can bring to us? Is this?
I can look at their audit and find out. I don't know what their fund balance is.
I don't remember right off.
That's information I would like to know. I mean, obviously, people are financially hurting right now. If we don't have to capture this amount. I mean, I think the public should know that.
Yeah, no, I think 911's pretty well maintaining and doing very well.
First, the millage would have been approved for us to back off the collection of it. This is.
Well, why couldn't you capture less than, this is a renewal. Could you change that 0.7494 of the mills? Could that be changed in this?
It
Millage
would
or no?
require just a little bit different wording. This one refers to the previous voted increase and so on. The wording would be changed. It wouldn't refer or make reference to any past millages. It would say, may this amount be assessed for 911 purposes. It's a little bit of a nuance. It would not be a renewal in that case. It would be a new millage, but potentially less than what's being collected now or whatever. But it's just a little nuanced on the wording.
Well, that's how Randy has explained it to us in the past, that they are all brand new millage votes. There is no millage vote that says in it that it's a renewal. That's a sales pitch, that it's a renewal.
I've seen some language where it says renewal, but you better be right if it says renewal, because if it's not right.
Well, the way he explained
Avoiding
it,
millage.
it's just like my term ends. I get reelected, I get elected again, not reelected.
Or me, I would word it exactly like that every time, because I wouldn't want to get caught up 2 years into a 6-year millage.
Yeah,
Oops, I did it wrong.
right.
Now I'm in trouble. So I would word it like Randy suggests, it's like it's brand new millage and you're
Right.
good regardless at that point.
I would just like to see where they stand financially to see if we're able, if this amount we need to collect to keep them where they're at financially, or if there is a possibility to give individuals a tax break. Right now, again, I think people are financially struggling and that is not going to get better anytime soon.
I think any millage ought to stay at that level. You can take it down each year of the 5-year cycle. If you take it down for the duration of it, it'll never get any higher. So, if it's 3/4 of a mill and 1 year, well, that's what happened with the sheriff, the road patrol millage. The positions weren't filled, we could ratchet it back. If we take it down and leave it there, and then you get the need for more, you have to go back and ask for more by vote.
That's fair, but again, I'd like to see the financial
Yeah, no problem.
statements as far as where they're at, because I'm sure we're gonna be asked. Anything else on that?
Nope.
County building security policy.
So you've got the next draft in front of you with hopefully caught the changes from the last time we had the discussion. Starting with B1A, the procedures shall include the visual assessment, et cetera. Prior language said may. D, I think it was Brad that asked, that we have the / Board of Commissioners with notification to the Chief Security Officer added. In E, making sure that we understand that there will be a list maintained at IT about who has access to where. That would just happen because he's got to grant the access by name. And otherwise, the rest of the language you've already seen.
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and put this up for a vote at the regular meeting.
I
Did
agree.
you guys have an opportunity to look this over? You guys are good with it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else you wanted to add to it? We'll put that on for resolution. Teamsters Court employee. Item C.
This is same letter of understanding that was presented at the last meeting. You have, I emailed you, it came late. I emailed the attorney opinion, but I've also printed it out for you if you didn't get a chance to see it on the email. It is a little over 2 pages long, but to sum it up, this is not a fiscal issue. So as the funding unit, there's no impact. And that the way the courts are structured, the court can in fact just simply implement this. They didn't have to bring it to the board. I would argue is because it's part of a contract that we've all signed off on. It would be really nice if everybody signed off on the change as well. But what the attorney is saying, that does not have to happen for the court to implement it. And I would suggest that we pass a resolution to recognize and implement the memorandum of understanding.
Because I guess I'm not understanding why this was, because that was voted down at the last meeting, correct?
My
So,
notes said bring it back to the cow meeting, so I did.
oh, I guess I must not have understood it that way.
We'll use the analogy you told me, how this was comparing to another office. The clerk's office.
What did I say?
Well, this is not money. It's like when the
Right.
clerk says, we're gonna be open, our office is open from this time to this time, closed for this time and open for this time. The elected officials have that authority to do so. The judges have the authority to do this. It doesn't cost any more. They're still getting the same amount of time off. It just comes in different, it just pays out in different increments.
I don't know who brought up finances. I guess my argument, and I can only speak for myself, was that we just negotiated in the negotiation that it was agreed upon. So I didn't feel like the timing of this was appropriate. It had nothing to do with financials.
Well, just the way it is the way it's presented to us, it seems like it comes from the Teamsters through the employees. Really, it's coming from the judges. When you come right down to it, the judges are the ones that are making this decision.
Okay.
And it's their purview to do so.
Yeah.
You
They just
voted
want our
on this.
blessing.
Was your decision based on anything financial?
No,
Your time is your time. I didn't,
yeah.
if you've earned it, you've earned it, I guess.
No,
That's what they're saying. There was no financial, so therefore, we only as the board control the finances of the
Okay.
courts. Therefore, basically,
this doesn't.
they can do whatever they want to do because there is no financial impact. Therefore, we don't have to give it our blessing, but they would like it.
Right, we already voted on it. We voted no, we voted it down. It was voted 3-2. Am I misunderstanding
You
something?
are absolutely correct.
So I don't understand.
So somebody said, put it on the cow meeting, and I took that
That's
note.
what our way I
I
heard.
think, I think that was my understanding. It was just gonna come back to be discussed. And
Okay.
whatnot. But needs to go on as a resolution again, then
To what? Vote it down or to vote on it again? The same thing?
just.
Why?
Just for the same reason you just said, you didn't understand it.
I understood it perfectly fine. I didn't ask for it to be, I didn't ask because my vote was not based on financial reasons. I guess maybe I
Okay.
misspoke. My vote had nothing to do with financial reasons. My vote was based on the timing that this was brought as far as negotiations. It had nothing to do with financial.
I think it was voted down to wait to hear what the lawyers have to say. And they basically have spoken and
I don't feel as there's a reason to put it back on, but that's my vote. We have 4 of us sitting here. So would you guys like to put it back on?
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and put it back on. Item D, Veterans Affairs Office.
Mark, you asked that.
I asked that be put on the agenda. It looks like, and Mr. Mayor, put your mayor hat on for right now, okay? The veterans have been in discussion with the city of West Branch in regards to the MSP polls, which I've talked about previously. It sounds like they're pretty close to coming to an agreement. Am I correct in that? I talked to Mike Thorne on Monday after the police memorial, and he indicated to me that it sounded like it was probably going to come together.
Yeah, the city council's basically asked them to come with us, basically with a business plan. I mean, and identify how they're gonna do certain things with building maintenance renovations that need to be done. Just so we know that we're going in the right direction.
Right.
The last meeting that they had, the feedback was positive, that they're making progress, that things are looking good. So right now, the wheels are still in motion to keep moving forward with this idea of making veterans one-stop
shop. And that's, I just want to bring it up in discussion so that we, is Jeff on the? I don't know. Obviously, we need to include Jeff in this conversation, but to move the veteran, our county veterans office into the MSP, the old MSP building, if this deal goes through. So it is truly a one-stop shop. And, you know, I've talked about this before. Their plan is, and talking to Mike Thorne, at least 3 days a week for a half a day, have representatives from the American Legion, VFW, and the Disabled American Veterans in that office at the same time, as well as Jeff. And once we get more staff, hopefully he fills a position so that a veteran can actually walk in there. They're going to take and have, you know, nice advertising outside, you know, so that a veteran can walk in that building, and if Jeff can't help them, he can direct them to maybe the DAV is able to assist them, the American Legion, the VFW, or vice versa. You know, so a veteran can get the whole array of assistance. I had Tim take and talk to the, ask the county attorney in regards to the funding level that our veterans offices. We can take and again, I'm not sure how if it goes through, who's gonna hold title to the property and that kind of stuff. But Ogemaw County could pay rent to help with the maintenance of the building. I mean, it's gonna take some renovations. They need to take and do some things in that building, you know, and they've got a pretty sizable fund balance.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, we'd be able to help them out. I think it's something that, you know, the citizens of this county deserve, the veterans. I just wanted to be on everybody's radar.
So who would actually purchase the building?
Well, that remains to be worked out. So I just want everybody to just keep this in the front of your mind, okay? You know, I think it's a very important issue. I think it'd be of great assistance to veterans, because I think a lot of veterans don't even know where our veterans office is,
No.
let alone, you know, how to contact somebody from the DAV or the American Legion. And if they were all under one roof and they're together at the same time, would be great for
Absolutely.
one guy to, person to be able to walk in and say, talk to one individual and then, no, but these guys can probably help you, or no, these guys can probably help
Right.
you, or maybe get help from everybody,
Right.
so,
Thank you.
yep,
E, tree
Thank you.
removal proposal quotes. Was that it? I'm sorry.
that's, yes, ma'am.
Maintenance supervisor has asked that we look into having 3 trees taken down. There are 2 birch trees east side of the building, and then there's a large conifer here on the south side entrance, which is very close to the building. That one he's particularly concerned about because it is getting older and it will eventually come down, and it's very close to the building. So he'd like to be proactive. He's provided 2 quotes, or at least only able to get us 2 quotes. One is the Worthy Tree Service, $1,200 total cost to remove all 3 of those. And the other one is Red's Property Maintenance. Total cost $2,200 to take care of those 3 trees, and in each case, deal with the stumps and haul away the brush. This is not budgeted. That's why it's here. So if we're not interested in doing it, we don't have to do anything more with it. But I would suggest that we take Chris's advice and take care of these trees before they become a problem.
Well, I
Now, the
sure hate
one-
to see the tree fall down on the smokers out there.
The one doesn't break it down like the other one does as far as pine, clean up, chip brush, debris, grind stump. Are both of these the same, this estimate?
They will both do it. So you see in the first one, it talks about the chip brush
Yep, I
debris
did.
and the stumps. And then the second one,
Does
go
it?
to the bottom.
At the very bottom. so
This
this is-
includes cleanup and.
Oh,
stump
shoot, I
removal.
missed that. Okay.
If we go through with this, what I would do is in the resolution, say that we'll also transfer the funds from what's left over on the snow plowing and just put it up to the contract to have this done.
We have some left from the snowplow?
Quite a bit.
Oh, good.
Now, obviously, there's one that's quite a bit less than the other one. Did Chris have a preference? Has he worked with either one of these?
He didn't have a preference on either one, and I would suggest going with the low bid.
Go with the little bit.
It was $1,200 on Worthy Tree Service. You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
$1,000 difference, yeah, so that's most definitely with the Worthy Tree Service.
okay, so we'll put that on. Item F, jail medical expenditure summary.
Okay, this is something we said we'd monitor this year. The material that you see takes us the expenses through May 15th, so it's a little bit more than 7 months of data that we're looking at. Now, just to explain this first spreadsheet that you're looking at, that first 2 columns comparing fiscal year 21 and 22, and they do that with each one of these line items, but the first 2 columns are directly exclusive to the jail medical contract that we have compared to the contract we had last year and nothing else. So it's just those contracts. You can see the difference. It's about a 21% difference or 21% drop in the total cost. And I would point out that when we did the resolution to do the current contract, we did add 20 hours per week for a nurse. That works out to roughly an additional $40,000 commitment on that contract. The second 2 columns deal with what our line item just describes as the inmate medical expense. This is mostly materials that they need over at the jail, bandages, gloves, things of that nature. There is one other cost that's in there that's showing up on this cycle for our Blue Cross payment for the inmates. So it just didn't show up yet on the 21 years. So that will be caught up with eventually. But that's why you see a lot of the difference in there. But there are a lot more supplies this year that have been purchased. The next set of columns is the inmate medic or the inmate prescriptions. And you can see we're considerably under what we were paying the prior year. The main reason for that, you go right down to the November 9th billing where the correctional healthcare, our prior vendor actually provided prescription drugs through their contract. And now the jail is going through the local pharmacies, and that's plays a big difference in terms of the pricing, but keep in mind, we don't know what's going to come through the door there and what medications they're going to need. So we may have had an inmate last year that had need for a far more expensive drug. that would affect that price too. But nevertheless, it is less this year than last year. On the dental expenses, we didn't have any dental expenses at this point last year. This year, we're up to $355. That's just, again, a budgeted item. The next column, though, is what I really want to draw your attention to. So when we've tallied these in the past, we just have simply looked at the inmate medical expenses, and we included the inmates that we house for other counties. And that's what you're seeing in those last two columns. So any expense related to an inmate from another county is placed in that 835,700 line item. And it is considerably more this year than it was last year. But bear in mind, we get every dime of that back. That money are billed back to the county that provided the inmate. And so that those costs are completely offset. So that one you could even just sort of brush aside. Don't even worry about that one. Those other four are really the true costs that we're looking at for our total inmate medical so far for this year. The second page, I just broke this down by month so that you could see where the expenses were falling in comparison to the prior year. Pretty basic graph. It's just an interesting thing to see. A couple of spikes last year, but generally everything is about where you might expect.
I was a little, thank you for this. Did Mary do this or did you do this?
No, this is all new.
How-
Wasn't gonna subject Mary. Yeah, that's right.
I guess I'm looking at this and I called you on this. I'm gonna be brutally honest here. I thought that this was supposed to save us a bunch of money. I'm glad it's at least fairly equal. There's a couple months where it's obviously, but overall, if you really compare that, it's about the same.
But you gotta remember though, we added 20 hours a week to.
I understand. I wasn't
So-
done. I wasn't done.
I'm so, okay.
This is also a personal contract versus a company contract. So there's also advantages to having a company contract. When somebody calls in, something gets sick, that's their responsibility to do the backup. But again, when I was shocked by seeing this, I thought this was supposed to save us quite a bit of money.
Well, the
And obviously, pardon me?
contract part itself has saved us 23,500 so far this year.
Total wise,
So far.
So far.
again, I didn't do the numbers when I called you on this, but looking at this graph, it's roughly, I didn't figure the numbers out exactly, but it's much closer than what I was anticipating.
Most months you see they're flat. We're actually a little higher in December than we were in 21, but there those two spikes in November and February last year. Huge difference there.
Well, fiscal year 2021 is complete, the whole fiscal year.
It is, but what's being reported on here is only to May 15th of last year.
Okay.
Compared through to May 15th of this year.
Okay.
We'll continue to monitor.
$14,000 savings over the comparable months.
23,500.
23,000.
23,000 and change.
It's gonna be, and it's
No.
interesting.
Yes.
23?
Subtract that
To continue to follow
33 from
this.
109.
Because I,
If you round it to be 110, yeah.
24, yeah. Okay.
That's what's at 23 and change.
I thank you for that.
Plus again, we've got.
I would like to continue to
Right.
add to this graph as we go.
So.
Okay.
Anything to add to that, guys?
No, let's just stay on top of it and let's just keep comparison. No, this is the comparisons we've talked about all along.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
Chief.
far, the right decision's been made because we're saving money.
Well, in the 5.5 years I've been here, this is the first I've seen. this
Breakdown
kind of
like that?
stuff, yeah.
Team building exercise.
Again, me.
Hit it.
Unfortunately, some of you guys didn't get to hang around for the Cinco de Mayo thing. Craig and I did, and I'll tell you what, I thought it was a great event, getting all the employees together. And it got me thinking, and I know in my past, I have been involved with organizations that have done team building exercises for their employees, where everybody just gets together and just kind of have a collective sigh of relief. enjoy each other's company, maybe play some games with each other, have their families coming. So I was thinking that, you know, if you guys entertain the idea, or at least think about it, of possibly sometime this summer, giving all the county building employees a couple hours off on a Friday afternoon, let's say, go to Irons Park, do a cookout, kind of way of saying thank you, because way back when, the county board of commissioners gave us turkeys at Thanksgiving time. They found out they could not do that because they were taking county tax dollars and giving it to the employees, okay? So my thought was we give them a couple hours of pay, still all the county building people together, do some team building stuff, have a tug of war across the river or whatever, you know, stuff like that. Have a barbecue, you know, invite the families so that everybody get together and just relax and spend some time together. And I don't know if you guys are in favor of it or not, but I thought it'd be a great idea. Again, as a way of saying thank you to the employees for all the hard work that they do for us. And I think it'd be,
Well, I know Jenny's first year, she came up with the idea and we did Christmas dinner and we had it catered in
Mhm.
at the expense of the commissioner.
right.
We did.
And it worked. I thought it worked.
I think it'd be nice for the employees. And
And then
again,
COVID hit,
you know,
so that's why
Then, yeah, then COVID hit and we couldn't.
things went downhill from there.
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
actually, I
right-
wanted
it
to
was
have a
right after
whole
that
Christmas party and that was not perceived very well. And after our actual party that I was going to host, and unfortunately, there was very little response to that. And even at our Christmas party here, it was attended, but it definitely could have been attended better.
Right.
It is what it is. But yes, it was a very nice lunch. I think the Willow Tree brought it in, didn't they, Craig?
Yeah,
Yep.
no, Sandbaggers, the country club. Tom Hornswalker.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there an issue with that?
No, and I wouldn't even volunteer to staff the grill.
I think what I would encourage initiate, I think this is a great idea to start with, but putting it out there to see who'd be willing to attend. To make sure if you're gonna move forward with it, that it's going to be an attended.
As one organization that I was with, it was called Mandatory Fun.
I don't
You
like
had,
that.
you had to be there.
You start doing that, and that's a whole new ballgame. I mean,
No, I'm
I would hope so, but you never know.
trying to be funny.
And-
I'm
and
sorry.
Well,
County
no.
members can't be spent on the food unless
Right.
you open it up for the entire public. So
Couple
we could
hours,
do
yeah.
you could do it potluck style.
Well, I don't mind.
Well, I mean,
I
you know,
I got lots of burger.
I think that the employees would be, as they've done for everything. They send a list around, you know,
Put it in.
this office brings, you know, the
Potatoes.
the potato salad, this one brings the baked beans, this one brings this, one brings.
How about we stick Mary on this? See if
I had a feeling that.
see
was
if
coming.
employees are willing to attend, see what works best for them, just a general idea, and we'll go from there.
Well, don't feel bad.
And I
At least
think,
you're here.
honestly, I think if you're going to choose to do it like the end of a workday kind of situation, that you would do it like midweek. Because I think there would be more of an opportunity for people to go and show up and do it and not be on vacation or taking a long
Right.
weekend or something like that. Like if you did it on a Friday, it would be less people coming, right? Like,
Right.
so.
Well, we're doing it for like the last 2 or 3 hours worth of work. I mean, I see what you're saying, but they're supposed to be work, the ones who are gonna attend are supposed to be at work
Right, but I'm saying
anyways.
I
But they'll
think
take
you would
a-
have more people come because less chance that people would be on vacation,
Take a
like
Friday
on a
off.
Friday or a
Yeah,
Monday,
taking a long
taking
weekend.
a long weekend or something.
Right.
Me, for example.
It doesn't, yeah, just ask.
Yeah,
Put that-
and 'cause summertime and big people take vacation, so I'll ask and,
If people feel like they have a voice
yeah,
in the event or an opinion, you know,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So we'll continue to
I
discuss.
mean, at least you're here to get picked for this committee. I missed the airport meeting last month and Mayor Frechette and a couple others put me on a committee. Yeah.
Will you put that on the next committee?
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
Was that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Modernizing Michigan Local Government Fiscal Transparency Project.
Okay, this is a pretty exciting invitation that came this week. The group is called the Center for Local, State, and Urban Policy, or CLOSUP. You may have heard of this group. They send out surveys quite regularly. It's part of the Gerald Ford Public Policy School at U of M. What their goal is to set up a system where all of the reports that we need to send to the state, like our F-65 reports and our annual retirement liability reports, and just any number of reports that we have to send to Lansing, are generated automatically through our audit process. We're already creating this audit book, and you all are familiar with that. It's put out in a PDF format. It's not even Excel. What would happen is this thing is being created is that all of these other state required forms would be populated with the right data at the same time. And then once the audit is finished, they go to the state. We don't have to worry about, gosh, we have to have this report in 30 days. And I got to hunt and peck through the audit and get the right number down and make sure I don't transpose anything. Taking it a step further, and I read they've got a work paper that they put out on this. Because we're with BSNA, I am very confident that even the audit report itself can end up being populated through the years. So we close the books on the fiscal. All of the data that they need for the audit is already in the system. They can set us up a program that grabs that data and populates all the different tables that have to be in the audit. And so it is virtually finished outside of going through and verifying receipts and everything else that the auditors do. This is pretty exciting. What the CLOSUP group would like to do is choose couple of larger urban areas. They already have Flint under contract. They've already begun the process there. And they want a number of rural, smaller communities across the state as well, so they can get a better picture of what the entire need is at the state level. And with the recommendation of MAC, they chose Ogemaw County as one of those sample counties. We have Zoom meeting scheduled with them tomorrow morning to get into more detail about what the expectations are, what they would do for us. But this is kind of a big deal. And I think it's actually going to go somewhere. Is reading some of the other material that they put forward. State of Illinois is way out in front on this right now, and a couple of counties there have already done it. And I can tell you just from it's about 15 years ago when I was having to do a master's thesis, having to compare expenditures across, and I didn't even do all the counties. I only had 6 counties in my study area to do, but to have to go through those audits and hunt the numbers down and then make sure that the number that they're showing is the same definition to it that the number this county is showing, it's kind of a hassle. Well, all of those guidelines are already there for us through chart of accounts that the state mandates that we do. We're all supposed to be reporting the same things. If this goes to the level that the CLOSUP group would like to see, all of us across the state will be doing that. And we'll know when we're looking at contracted services for Ogemaw County, that means the same thing for Montmorency County, and we can run our comparisons. And it's there. It's just a matter of calling it up. So really exciting thing. And I am really excited that we were chosen to be one of the pilot counties to check this out. Make sure you're aware of that. It's like I said, it's kind of a big deal. And I think it's really going to go somewhere.
Sounds exciting.
Well,
Is there anything we have to do, or is this just an
just an
informative?
information item for you right now. Of course, if you wanted to tell us don't do it, this would be the time to do that.
Why would we not do it?
I can't think of a reason.
Okay, then. So you'll keep us informed of it?
I will, and I'm sure that they'll want to probably present as we go into this, present their work at some point.
Okay. Questions?
No,
I agree.
Administrator evaluation.
So we took the form that we had from West Branch and have put it on Excel. This is Excel, right? It was just converted it to PDF for this purpose. There are 2 versions that you see here. The first one, all the questions, all the criteria are the same, but the first format, you would check the box 1 through 10. The second format is you would write your number 1 through 10. on the right side. So it just, there's a matter of format, if this is the direction we want to go. I did, obviously was able to go through and read each of these evaluation points, and there, this is a good
Mhm.
sheet.
I thought the sample that we had was only 1 through 5.
It was, and then we had conversations about going 1 to 10, and so, I mean, we could truncate that to 1 to 5.
I don't care.
I
I
don't
just thought
either.
that that's what we had agreed upon. So when I seen this last night, I was.
Commissioner
kind of
Scott had a
shocked.
1 to 10 preference, I believe, didn't you?
He did, and then I thought we agreed what we were looking at, we liked. So again, I don't care. This is perfectly fine. I just was surprised to see the 10. But it's good. I would prefer just writing it in there. The second one, the score. But you guys,
I'm good.
I would check the
want to
box.
circle it? Do you want to write? the number?
I'll be more than happy to take and write my number in. It's the same difference, whether it's a check box or.
I
Write the
agree.
number.
So
What difference does it really
Tell
make?
me which one you
I
want.
mean, what difference does it
if you
really
don't
make?
put the check in there, we got two looks at this. If you don't put the check in the box, and it could go either way, or if they can't read your number.
But if you're doing it, the Excel spreadsheet, you're just typing a number.
What would be easiest for you, Mary? Number 1 or number 2? I'm asking. Number 2, yes.
Write it in.
So number 2 it is. Are you guys good with that?
I'm fine.
Are we good with that?
I like check the box. I mean, hey.
What would you like,
That's
Commissioner Bond?
fine. Don't worry about it.
You tell me which one you want filled out.
Yeah, I'll go with the,
Let's go with-
to write the number,
let's
but
go with-
I like the other one.
If they're the same information, I can combine. the
Oh, that's
scores
fine.
No matter which one you
Right.
decide to use,
Okay.
honestly, it's okay.
Let's just write the number in. We're good with that. Do we have to put that in? We don't have to do that for a resolution. Do you have a deadline? When would you like this done by?
Well, we said we would do it at the end of each year, and that was May 18th, so now would be the time.
Okay,
Now,
perfect.
Just thinking out loud.
Yesterday would have been that.
Thinking out loud. Process, I mean, this is literally just a matter of you taking the time to fill it out and getting it back in. So this doesn't have to have a lot of turnaround on it. I wouldn't think Tuesday would be too quick, but maybe by the, I don't know if you want to do this at a CAL meeting or a regular meeting, that doesn't matter either. So as soon as like 2 weeks from now, if you had them in, we could do the formal part of, doing the evaluation as a group at that point. I would just remind you that the documents themselves that you fill out become a public document.
Yeah.
So as you're writing comments in there, be mindful of that. And also that begs the question then, we have the format that was given to us. There is a space at the end to put your name in as evaluator. I would suggest that they remain anonymous, that you not necessarily put your name in there, that you just turn the form into Mary, and Mary can keep the documents. So I would have no way of knowing either which person said what. Not that any of you would want to hide anything, but just bottom line, you may not want that to be a public document with your name tied to it. Just suggesting that maybe we take that off. And then at the very top where it talks about the name and the date, well, there's only one county administrator, so I think we can probably remove that too, because we know who it's about.
Perfect. So you'll send that to us, Mary? Okay.
You don't have a problem with that? Take the name off.
Item, the last one, I don't know. County owned properties. I didn't see that list. You did send me that, but is it on our iPads for everybody
It's
to look
not.
at?
But it certainly can be. And what I did was took that large stack that Denise brought in with all the deeds and the descriptions of the properties and stuff and compiled them into a Excel spreadsheet, able to capture not only the library page that files on, but how much was the property purchased for or purchased. And a lot of it was back in the 80s. There was kind of like a spending spree going on here, getting property. There are some properties in there that are real head scratches. You don't know why we have them. There are others that have leases on them. There's one in just outside of town with the ball fields on it. That's actually county property leased to the township for 99 years.
Okay.
So, it's interesting background. Very good exercise because this data is all now going to be placed into our capital improvement plan so that we have captured now that between two covers where our properties are.
Well, we can choose to sell or disperse any piece of property also.
Right.
We have something residentially, can we give it to the land bank?
I don't think we have any residences. Can we?
Or in,
We've got
or
residential,
in residential area?
we've got residential property that's zone residential.
Mhm. Yeah.
In the city of West Branch.
Yeah, we do have a couple lots there.
The reason I asked for this was because there is a piece of property that the county owns, the high banks out there on Wright River Trail. And there was a post on social media that was basically slamming county commissioners on not maintaining the high banks and what our plan was moving forward with the high banks. So it was a valid point. It wasn't an accurate point, but it was a valid point, I guess, or an opinion. We need a plan as far as who's mowing it, who's maintaining it. That area out there is utilized a lot. After I read that, or actually numerous people sent it to me, I did take a drive out there and a walk down there.
For who can we lease it to for 99 years?
So anyways, I wasn't done. I did take a walk out there and look at the property. A lot of canoers, fishermen's. The stairs need to be shoveled off for them to be maintained. They're pretty dirty, but everything else up there, some trees need to be cleaned up a little bit, but everything else did look pretty good. Mills Township last year, we donated some, or bought, I guess, some stain.
Stain and brushes, and they supply the volunteers.
They did, but again, I think we do need a plan of what our plan is with these properties. I don't even know until you sent me that list of what all properties we own. So I think that that's a good information to have. And so can we put that, once you distribute that to everybody, can we put that on the next committee of the whole? To come up with a plan of how we're gonna maintain those properties? I don't know why the county owns the high banks out there. Do you know where I'm taught where the high banks are?
Sure.
Great grandfather.
Played up and down it as a kid.
Correct, so did I. So did I, but,
You had a six-wheel Argo down it.
they recently, well, I don't know how long ago, but they rebuilt all the stairs for that, and I mean, they're covered in mud, they need to be shoveled. And I thought about it, but that looked like a lot of work. Shoveled off so they don't rot faster. I mean, they're pretty bad, but did you have something, Commissioner Scott?
No, I mean, there's a couple places we own Pointer Hill Park. I mean, there is a tower there, but you know, back in the day before the freeway, that was a regular nice park, but it just, I know Chris goes up and mows the grass. You know,
Obviously, we own these properties, we insure them. What's the cost can we get the cost of all of that? Or is it part of the umbrella? Is it individualized? Is it?
It's not individual. I know that, although we do provide a list every year of what we know about. There may be one or two in here we didn't know when we did the insurance, but we'll make sure it's on the list this year. But no, we're given an aggregate number. They don't break it out, for like the Deer Park or anything like that.
Okay, I think we just still need to move forward with conversations on these properties. You guys agree?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else we missed on here? Public comment. Is there any public comment? Yes, ma'am, come on up. Oh, I apologize. I missed that on my report for Mills Township. This is for the land bank, the cleanup.
Yes, so Karen Piglowski, your Ogemaw County Treasurer. I just wanted to remind everyone that is here and is listening by Zoom that tomorrow or Saturday,
Yep.
the 21st from 9 to 10 is our land bank volunteer cleanup day. I myself will be there with gloves and spray.
I will be as well. I can
Okay, are you going to join
address.
us?
Yep.
Okay, great. And it's at 2408 East First Street in Prescott is the address if anybody's available. I'm only asking for an hour of your time Saturday morning. We're going to clean up the rubbish, get it into a dumpster, and then I will be taking steps to tear down the structure.
I think they had somebody volunteering. They talked about that at the Mills Township meeting.
Yes. So I'm in the permit process for the demo and working to get the electrical lines removed so that we can.
Karen, is that the east first off, is this off Lucinda?
Yep. So do you know where the park is? The beach, the public
Yeah,
beach there?
yeah.
Yep. So it's just a couple of houses down from the beach.
Oh, okay,
On
so it's
First
right
Street.
off.
Look at this.
There's
cleaned-
so many,
can't miss
there's so many,
it.
there's so many first streets down there. Okay.
Once I get this cleaned up, there should be sell pretty, it's right there, right?
And I already have a couple people calling and interested, so I'm hoping that as soon as this is cleaned up,
You
we.
wanna own some high banks?
I can't sell that for you, but you can sell
Land bank, the high banks.
land bank, the high banks. Anyway, I would appreciate it, Jen. Thank you. And anyone else?
Goodness.
Anyone else who's listening,
Promise me no ticks.
bring your tick spray,
Can't make your promise.
lemongrass and eucalyptus spray,
Kind of structures on it.
a very, very ugly one.
Dilapidated house,
It's,
isn't it?
it's one of the ones
Yeah.
we saw pictures on. It's one that,
Roof collapsed on it, isn't it?
Mossy and,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm in a meeting.
so I think the purpose of this was to clean up the yard before the grass got tall, nothing with the actual structure,
Not the
correct?
structure,
Just
right.
the-
We're picking up all the
debris.
rubbish around and getting the tires taken to Mills Township Hall because they do a tire day. So we're having the tires to Mills Township, getting the rubbish cleaned up and put in the dumpster. And then hopefully before June 3rd, I can have the structure down and gone. That's the
Right.
goal. So I will see you on Saturday.
It sounded like it was gonna be well attended at the Mills Township meeting, so
I hope. Thank you.
What time does it start, Karen? What time?
We're from 9 to 10.
Then,
Yep, I'm just asking for an
better be there.
hour of time from everybody.
that's why I asked the time.
Okay. Any other public comment? Any public comment on the phone? Make a motion to adjourn at 7:01.
Amen.
All in
Aye.
favor, yes. Opposed? How'd I do, Tracy? That was for you.